beginning.
Right.
So I'm apologizing for that here and now.
Yeah.
And next year we'll make sure that that's correct. Vicki also was nice enough, gracious enough to let us use her window on the west side for our maps. So that was our west side map window, where people could see it and then follow along if they couldn't get their hands on a promotion. So anyhow, would you tell us about your piece? It was in Mixture, which is a few doors down from Beacon Rivers and Estuaries.
Right.
The full city is the layout.
Mixture, when I first got the assignment, to me this is the third time I've been in windows on Main Street. The first two times I did much larger pieces, and when I got Mixture, it was given to me. I went and at first I was thinking of, well, if I could do a bunch of different blenders or mixing things. That was the first thing that I was thinking of. But in really looking at the windows and trying to figure out how exactly to stack them because of their signage, I wasn't quite sure it was working, and that type of thing just never felt comfortable with me. It was like, well, if I do 249 mixers, has that been done, and that was my worry there, plus the levels. So as I was talking to them, and I know the business, they do signs. And when they do signs, they get something very specific from a business. And they're about the color, about the size of the lettering, everything is very specific, everything is computerized. And the more I thought of that, the more I realized I wanted to do something much more organic with the piece that people could see, which led me to how I approach the piece itself. One, thinking about something you wouldn't necessarily think of as an art frame, but something you might mix in, which ended up being the aluminum as the frame. And the paint that I used, I tried to, which you can't force paint, but let it be organic, and then as it was drying, fill in the word of the name of their store. Just to make it a little bit more readable, because when it first all dried up, it was still a bit inky. You couldn't quite see some of the wording on it. And certainly, as again, because they're very specific in their designs and what they do, bring in that, and they're funky, bring in a little bit of that urban element as if it was spray painted in there. So that's how I decided on mine, and they're happy with it. And I decided on smaller again, because they have signage on the top and bottom of their windows, so it had to be at mid-height to have people be able to see it.
Sure. I'm going to get more into some of the dealings I had with some of the businesses as our discussion progresses. I do want to try to get through everybody's explanation of their piece first. And Vicki, yours is one that I have an example of, where I was hearing from the owners in a positive way towards you. And then there were some that had negative effects, also with some of the artists that unfortunately are not here. I want to give a few examples of what they also went through, namely Peter Anarelli and Ellie Agurna, who were down towards the east end here. Had some trouble with their spots, with their owners, or with the spaces, etc. So why don't we move on to Steve, and we'll hear about your piece, which was an artist in Alliance.
Yeah, so Tim and May at Artisan were really nice. They were really supportive of the whole project. They were kind of very interested in part of it. And for me, sort of looking at the call for entries that you had put out, sort of thinking about trying to connect with the history of Beacon a little bit, and sort of being a Beacon resident, being interested in that background, shifting from manufacturing context to the retail context situation.
Street.
my piece, I was just interested in trying to just kind of create a link between Beacon's history and Beacon's present population. So what I ended up kind of focusing on was the brick production, Denny's Point Brickworks, just how that was something that contributed in a big way to the overall development of New York City, and sort of the quantity of material that was kind of dredged out of the pits and formed into bricks and then sort of shipped out of the city. So with that kind of construction and having a construction background myself, I've always been sympathetic towards kind of labor issues and just kind of that unseen aspect of labor. So I really wanted to try to spotlight, in a sense, the labor, like the local Beacon kind of labor, all that goes into that was a part of that history. So the process that I went with was to go down to the Beacon Historical Society, see what photographs they had of Denny's Point Brickworks. And they were really nice through their folders. I brought my laptop and just some scanned images. Because there was only maybe like 10 or 15 such micro images. And of those, not all of them were really usable. So I was able to kind of take with the scanner, just kind of crop in closely on people's faces, enlarge them, and use those as part of the piece. But in terms of how that piece functions, I really wanted to get I was collecting New York City landmark architecture postcards from Times Square. And using the Historical Society image on the back of the mirror that sort of reflects that background. So as you look at the view, you kind of see more reflection amidst the historical photographs of like the brickyard workers. And then on the inside, this is kind of turned into a little bit of a collaboration between Tim and May and I. And it was one of the most surprising elements and kind of the most exciting for me because it was kind of evolving like at the last minute. And it was just involved placing some of the actual Hudson Valley bricks in and around the retail context of the
I only noticed that after I went inside, actually. I had not gone inside, looking from the outside. And then when I went in, I saw the bricks. They were wonderful.
They were, it was kind of just a surprising, just little detail that I was like, all right, well, is it possible to kind of connect the retail context with the same history? Because, you know, so much of Main Street's economy right now is like retail based, and so I thought it would be kind of nice to somehow make a link, but also make a sort of just a disjointed relationship in a sense. And they were, I pitched the idea to them, and they were really surprisingly receptive and really supportive of the idea. They loved the idea that it brought people kind of just moving around the space, kind of into their space. But yeah, so I just picked out some historical texts and emailed those to them in like a Word document, and they formatted them into their like artisan wine shop sort of signage, which I just was really excited that they were taking that on.
Steve's piece started as, in essence, what I say is like 3 layers at first. You have the New York postcards, the brick workers' faces, and the mirror reflecting yourself, kind of this past, present, and future. And then as it continued, the project kept growing, what I like to say, the more layers kept getting added on, the bricks and the explanations. So I like to go.
That's much
Yeah, it was good.
I came because I looked at all the windows on the back a couple of times. I enjoyed the windows.
That's great. That's great.
Hear about it. You don't want to hear about the reception.
Sure, the process, absolutely.
Yeah, just sort of being a part of a project like this, dealing with business owners in a sense, was kind of one of the most satisfying things. You know, being in the studio and working on your own independently, doing contacts, and sort of be out in the public context, collaborating, and working with people. So on that level, that was for me a real high point.
Great.
So yes, that's sort of the bulk of it was just trying to kind of get a connection between Beacon's past and Beacon's present and sort of Main Street's
I mean, our goal was partially that, a historical reference, also a reference with the business, which Vicki, yours is a wonderful example of working directly with the business to present something. And Carlo, of course, you know, your continued conversation. The real idea, I think, behind it is to get a discussion going between, in essence, a non-artist and an artist. And that's the most important feature. Not exactly what we're looking